Welcome to the World of Horror podcast with Mom and Mac. I'm Mom.
And I'm Mac.
This is the podcast where we share our love of international horror. Everyone has their fears, but we are not afraid of subtitles, disclaimers for adult language, and spoilers. Hi, Mac. How's it going?
Hi, Mom. It's going pretty good. This is my day 4 of my 4-day weekend. So that's nice to have a 4-day weekend. And yeah, I think I finally recovered from our trip earlier this month.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready to start the new year now.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm letting myself have the rest of January to recover, but
that's fair.
Yeah, I have to do so. WoHos, just briefly, we flew to Wisconsin for a memorial service, and there was a lot of family in a little bit of space
and time.
and time. So it was a very compressed kind of visit, and just like any family, it's just kind of stressful when you get a bunch of them together, and especially around sort of an emotional moment. And so there was a lot of stuff to process during and after.
Yeah, I think I felt like hungover for like 2 weeks and finally feel like, all right, I've crested that. Like, also was, I think, really stressful beforehand too. I think we were just so stressed out of like, what is it going to be like? So even before it happened, it was like already feeling that anxiety.
Well, and we're recording on the 19th of January, and this was literally on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of January. So it was right after the holidays. And so, yeah, it was, in some ways, it was great timing. It was before I went back to school. So it kind of worked out that way. But yeah, it was just a lot, as the kids say.
Yeah, I had to be back at work the next day. And then my flight got delayed too. And there was all that. Got home at 3:30 a.m. It's just flying. That's not my favorite thing. Also.
No. I know. When I did my last jaunt from Charlotte to Greensboro, so you can drive it in an hour and a half. So I was on one of those planes where there's like one seat on one side of the plane and then two seats on the other side. And so I was on, and the aisle was, you couldn't get a drink tray down the aisle or anything like that. I mean, it's just tiny. It's like basically like one person at a time could go down the aisle. And I was just like, this does not seem safe.
Yeah. What happens in the event of like everybody's rushing?
Yeah. This lady gave me a really dirty look because I just sort of like they made us check our bags. And so I just had my purse. And so I just like rammed through and she gave me this dirty look. But that's just too bad.
I had they kept upgrading my seat because I guess since I was a single flyer, and at one point I go to sit and there's a couple sitting in my seat. So I was like, well, I'll just sit I was too anxious to be like, that's my seat, because there was a free seat. I could just see it play out. I was like, the guy's going to ask me to just sit in the free seat beside. So I'll do that and hope nobody actually comes. But then inevitably a couple comes up and they just kind of look at the seat, look at me, look at the seat. And I was like, they're sitting in my seat actually. So I'm sitting here. And I was right. The guy who I was like, he's sitting in my seat, was like, well, can't we just still sit? Like, I already knew it. I called it. And the other guy was like, well, I want to sit next to my wife. So, I end up sitting next to that guy who was trying to debate. But it was funny because we had a lot of leg room, and he just goes, you ever had this much leg room in your life? And I said, no, I haven't. And then we did our flight, which isn't like, that's not like, the worst thing that's ever happened. It's just, that was at like 8 p.m. or something. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody when I'm going on a flight. Not to be antisocial, but like, you know, let me just sit
Yeah.
down. I mean, let
Yeah,
me
it's
just sit.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe they should give us badges like, I don't want to talk or
Yes.
I'm open to talking. Something like that. I guess the badges are our faces. Those are the
Yeah.
indicators. But
I don't have I just always end up like smiling, like, okay, yeah, And I think on a good day, I would be fine to chit chat. But I wish there was also a badge that was like, I have just like ended an extremely emotional trip and have to be at work in under 12 hours. Please don't talk to me.
I think it's fine. Yeah, maybe someone will come up with like a clothing line when you can just like program like text into your t-shirt and it just like scrolls across your chest. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, we should fund it. Sharks, I got a great pitch for you.
Yeah. So, and one fortunate thing that happened is I inherited a car. But
Yay!
yes, it's really awesome. But there's so much paperwork involved with registering a new car that's new to you. And so tomorrow I have to get it inspected. Then I have to get this form notarized. And then I have to like take all my papers to the place, and hopefully they'll let me drive my new car.
DMV just sucks too.
I know. I'm going to try to make an appointment, but I don't know if that's going to be a possible thing.
Dang. Hopefully it'll all be squared away by the end of the week.
Yeah, I would love that. I have an appointment with somebody on the 27th, and I'm hoping I can drive my new car to the appointment. That's my goal.
Woo!
But it would be great to drive to see you next weekend.
Yes, we're going to see No Other Choice. WoHos, we're so excited. We're big Park Chan-wook fans in this household.
And it's not here. And so it's just so, exciting. So I'm willing to drive,
Yeah, that's how serious it is.
Mm-hmm.
WoHos, I had a moment where for like months I'd been like, Alan, like, you should watch this movie with me because Park Chan-wook's The Handmaiden, I would say, is my favorite movie of all time. And he and I have been getting more into K-pop. And so I was like, you like this Korean media? Well, there's a whole other world for you to explore. And so finally, on Saturday or Friday, I just sat him down and was like, we're watching this. And he said, okay. And I could tell in the first 15 minutes, he was just like, and I had warned him, I was like, 2.5 hour long movie, so buckle up. And I could tell in the beginning, he just was like humoring me, but it was so delicious to start to see him like really start to pay attention and get so invested. And then midway through, we take a pause and he's like, and he's got a new movie out, right? We should go see that. And I was like, yes! He gets it.
Such a great feeling. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love that. Like, I think I told you when I showed my boyfriend Parasite, he like stood up in the living room and applauded the screen.
Whoa. What a great feeling.
And when I showed him X, he's like, now, if you can find me more horror films like that one, I would be, willing to watch them. And I was like, well, I mean that's
tough
one of
order.
the best ones. So.
If you can just find like the cream of the crop, that would be
right.
Great.
Exactly. So, yeah. He hated The Substance, by the way, but we've already talked about The Substance.
Well, you know what isn't the cream of the crop?
What's that, Mac?
The Curse of Frankenstein. Well, okay. What do you think about The Curse of Frankenstein?
I thought it was charming.
Okay.
So
at the end, I said longest 82 minutes of my life.
No, you didn't. That's not fair. You've spent many more longer 82 minutes.
That's true. This is one that I think could have been on 1.5 speed, though, and benefited.
Yeah, I wondered if you were going to watch it on 1.5 speed.
There's just a lot of shuffling, like, you know, maybe it's my fault for setting my expectations so high when I saw the cast list, you know?
Yeah. Well, also, I think this is kind of a generational thing. I mean, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and things were slower then. And this is a movie from 1957. So that kind of thing never really bothers me, you know?
Okay, but I will say, I think the length of the movie, it focuses on maybe, in a way, one of the shortest parts of the book. Like,
Yes.
like so much of it is this part that's kind of like a paragraph in the book, and it's like the whole time I'm just thinking, I know Christopher Lee's in this. Ooh, I can't wait. And then I went, oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this week, WoHos, we're talking about Frankenstein movies. We wanted to talk about Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein film from just a couple months ago, or a month ago. And I wanted to pair it with something. And I basically did a little bit of research and found this one called The Curse of Frankenstein. The short plot summary from IMDb says, while awaiting execution for murder, Baron Victor Frankenstein tells the story of a creature he built and brought to life, only for it to behave not as he intended. This was directed by Terence Fisher, screenplay by Jimmy Sangster, based on Frankenstein by Mary W. Shelley, starring Peter Cushing, Hazel Court, Robert Urquhart, and Christopher Lee. The cinematography was by Jack Asher. It was edited by James Needs. Music was by James Bernard. And the color process was by Eastman Color. And I only mention that because this was the first Hammer horror film in color.
That's so cool. And I feel like they were like, oh, this is in color. We're going to utilize this.
Yes, absolutely. It was released on the 2nd of May, 1957 in London and the 20th of May, 1957 in the UK. It has a running time of 83 minutes. How did you feel about this runtime, Mac?
You know, I was a bit like, how are they going to tell the story? It's a surprising, maybe for me, thing of, now this might be too short to tell a story of Frankenstein. Because when I saw the runtime of Guillermo del Toro's, I thought, that's actually fair. That's so fair, you know? And so for this one, I said, now how's this going to work? Not as expected, I'll say.
Yes. In 19th century Switzerland. Okay, and I just want to say before we get into the plot, for both of these films, most people know the story of Frankenstein, and I think with both of them, I don't know how to put this. We can go through the plot, but the point really of these films is to see them. Like the plot is well known, and there are variations on the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in both of these. But anyway, I think with the value of this one is the color, the Eastman color process that they did.
Peter Cushing's eyes.
Yes. Oh my. And
they were like, oh, color? Let's get these baby blues.
And all the beakers of all the solutions and things like that in the lab.
That's true.
Anyway, in 19th century Switzerland, Baron Victor Frankenstein is awaiting execution for the murder of his maid Justine Moritz. He tells the story of his life to a visiting priest. This all takes quite a while. I was like, that's not Peter Cushing. Who's that? Oh, that's the priest. Okay. Kind of took a minute to get started.
Yeah, and already, okay, I told Alan and myself, I said, it's not a good enough thing to just say, well, this isn't like the book. So for context, WoHos, I read the book very recently, just randomly last year, and I very much loved it. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. And so I'm not trying to be that guy, because adaptations, I think it's actually amazing when an adaptation changes things and you're like, I see the value of this. Much like American Psycho, I thought that might be one of the best adaptations I've ever seen of a book. But I was interested in, like, to me, this movie opens up much like so many horror movies actually from this time, where there's a guy awaiting trial or like a detective or something, and they're like, and how did this event occur? And he's like, well, let me start from the beginning, from when I was a boy, you know? And
yes. I know, when he said that, I was like, oh no.
Can you imagine like the priest being like, you're getting executed in 1 hour. Like, speed it up, bud.
Yeah, this movie's in real time, 83 minutes. That's so funny. At age 15, the death of Victor's mother, Caroline, leaves him in sole control of the Frankenstein estate. Victor agrees to continue to pay a monthly allowance to his impoverished Aunt Sophia and his young cousin Elizabeth Lavenza. Soon afterwards, he engages scientist Paul Krempe. Not sure how to pronounce his name. The actors don't know. Nobody cleared that up.
They default to Paul. They're just like, Paul!
To tutor him. After 2 years of intense study, the two begin collaborating on scientific experiments. One thing I wanted to say about Paul, no backbone, this guy.
No, at all. And I think he's just, because this is like a, Curse of Frankenstein original character. And I believe, there might be another character named Paul Krempe in the book, but nobody had this sort of role in Frankenstein's life, I think. And yeah, I think he just wanted to get paid. Like, I think he's pretty, like, I don't know, like, at one point Frankenstein's like, well, you're still living here. I'd be kind of pissed if I was Frankenstein, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Paul just basically, he's like, it's kind of like Reanimator, or Reanimator is kind of like this.
Yeah.
In that, the sidekick is like, you can't do that. That's against nature. And then 2 seconds later is like, okay, I'll help you.
Yeah.
And that's the way Paul is. One night, after a successful experiment in which they bring a dead puppy back to life, Victor suggests that they create a perfect human from body parts. Paul assists Victor at first, but eventually withdraws, unable to tolerate the continued scavenging of human remains, particularly after Victor's fiancée, the now grown Elizabeth, comes to live with them.
Man, he took one look at Elizabeth and he's like, well, I won't be leaving the estate anytime soon, but I will not be helping you either.
Yeah, and the whole idea that they have to protect Elizabeth from, all this stuff is disgusting, but.
And that he never, I mean, I know it's a movie set or, filmed in the 50s, and it takes place 19th century. Women are not thought of as having any sort of intelligence, but also at the same time, he's like, Elizabeth, there are nefarious things about you should leave. I won't tell you anything about what they are. When she's like, okay, tell me, like, show me. He's like, well, no, I'm not going to do that, but you should leave. Just promise me. And she's like, well, I need money to live. I have no money. He's like, well, that's not my problem. Like, bro, come on.
Victor assembles his creation with a robber's corpse found on a gibbet and both hands and eyes purchased from charnel houseworkers.
No, he stole the hands from like the best sculptor. He stole them. He was like, oh, that guy just died, so I just popped over there and stole his hands.
And he got the eyes for a bargain.
Yeah, 10 gold pieces or whatever.
Yes. For the brain, he seeks out the aging Professor Bernstein. Okay, how about the portrayal
This was amazing.
of this German scientist? Oh no. It was mercifully very brief, his time on
Yeah.
the screen, but it was uncomfortable. So that the creature can have a sharp mind and the accumulation of a lifetime of knowledge. He invites Bernstein to his house in the guise of a friendly visit. But while inviting him to look at a painting, ironically, the anatomy lesson of Dr. Nicholas Toop by Rembrandt, pushes him over a stair banister and kills him, making it look like an accident.
This is the best scene in the whole movie when he's like, "Oh, before you retire for the night, take a look at this painting. You know, you might see it better if you stand back a little." Little pause. "Professor, no! Oh, Professor!" Just like pushes him. Like, that was amazing. I thought the whole time he was like, because they had all these great scenes of Kremp being like, "Well, where are you going to get the brain?" And Peter Cushing kind of looking at him up and down, being like, "I know where I'm going to get it." And I was hoping so bad he'd kill Paul.
Yes, that would have been much better.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, like you got Peter Cushing's like devilish face just kind of being like, "I know where to find one." And how then he would have gotten rid of Paul's ass.
Yeah, that would have been better. After Bernstein's funeral, Victor proceeds to the vault and removes his brain. Paul attempts to stop him, and the brain is damaged in the ensuing scuffle. So Paul shoots the brain, right?
No, I think they're like struggling and he like breaks it again.
Okay.
Like it's in a glass thing and it just breaks against the wall.
Oh, okay. I kind of zoned out for a second.
Oh, was it a little bit boring, the movie?
What?
Huh? Sorry, who said that?
It was a little boring. Some editing might have been in order, but with all the parts assembled, Victor brings the creature to life. Unfortunately, the creature's damaged brain leaves it violent and psychotic without Bernstein's intelligence.
Okay. Y'all, I was not a fan of this plot point. Because to me, what I love about Frankenstein, and I'll get into it more in the next telling, because I think that one's a lot more faithful. But to me, you remove the whole point of the story if you make the monster a monster. It is what most people believe the story is if they've never read the book, is they think, oh, a guy created a guy and then it was a monster. It's like, well, no, it's like not it at all. You know, he did create a creature and that creature ends up being so introspective and intelligent and human in its own way. And I was so looking forward to something like that with Christopher Lee, because I think Christopher Lee could tell a compelling or portray a compelling character like that. And on the other end, I think Peter Cushing could have portrayed a much more nuanced Victor Frankenstein. Like, you've got these two greats that I think are very underutilized, because it's another pet peeve seeing Victor Frankenstein just be like a dickhead, you know? Like, and that some people seem to enjoy this. I feel like this also takes it away. It's like this guy made a mistake. He had hubris, but he's not evil, you know? Like him and the creature to me are two sides of the same coin. But in this one, he's just like unambiguously like a total jackass.
Yes. No question. Victor locks up the creature, but it escapes and kills an old blind man that it encounters in the woods. Oh, that's pretty sad.
It's so sad. And also a bastardization of the blind man's character, who like is the only one to really see the creature for who he is, because he cannot witness the horrible visage of the creature. But they were like, well, let's keep the blind man, but just have him like kill him and his grandson, I guess. Okay.
Did he kill that grandson?
I feel like it was implied he killed him, because he's like, yeah, Grandpa, and he like runs after him.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably did.
Yeah, but they probably were like, well, we can't show that.
No, no. After Paul shoots the creature in the eye with the hunting rifle, he and Victor bury it in the woods. However, after Paul leaves town, Victor digs up the creature and brings it back to life. And it's pretty grim. He like hangs him up like a slab of meat in the
That was
lab.
amazing.
Yeah, that was really something. Justine, with whom Victor has been having an affair, claims that she is pregnant by him and threatens to tell the authorities about his experiments if he refuses to marry her. He has her killed by the monster.
Man, poor Justine. Like, she was kind of stupid. Like when they cut to him making out with her earlier and she's like, "And who is that woman, Victor?" He's like, that's your new mistress, but don't worry about it. Yeah, sure, I'll still marry you." Like, okay. This lady's dumb. But I loved that nightgown. Like,
yes.
Whoever made this movie loves boobs. I'll say that. A lot of like, I won't even say tasteful, just like a lot of dresses where like the neckline is so low, but the rest of them is all covered. But I thought her and the woman who played Elizabeth, they look great.
Yeah. And Justine has this lovely black hair and she just has this open face. Like she's looking at the hamsters and the lab and playing with them and tapping on the glass. And it's very sad. Paul returns to the house at Elizabeth's invitation the evening before she and Victor are to be married. Victor shows him the revived creature, and Paul threatens to report him to the authorities. The monster escapes up onto the roof where it threatens Elizabeth. Victor arrives with a pistol and accidentally shoots Elizabeth after seeing the monster grabbing her. She falls unconscious, and without any more bullets, Victor throws an oil lamp at the creature. Its clothes go up in flames, causing it to fall through the roof light and into a vat of acid, destroying all evidence that it existed.
Bummer.
I thought this was funny and terrific. Yeah. He runs out of bullets. He throws the gun at him, and then he has nothing left, so he throws the lamp at him. And I wondered about the stunts. I mean, obviously they had stuntmen back in the day. And you can tell this is a stuntman because he's got like a bald patch on the back of his head, and we just see him from behind. But I was worried about that dude.
Same thing with the Bernstein stunt actor, because he just like really looked like he fell off landing.
Now that one he did. He hit his head on the floor. He was supposed to hit the mat and he hit his head. So
was he okay?
I think so, but you know,
it looked bad.
Concussion. It did look bad. Yeah. The priest does not believe Victor's story. When Paul visits him, Victor begs Paul to testify that it was the creature who killed Justine, but he refuses and denies all knowledge of the mad experiment. Paul joins Elizabeth, who is waiting outside, and tells her there is nothing they can do for Victor. After they leave, Victor is led away to the guillotine.
That walk to the guillotine, I was really like kept checking the time. Again, I'll bring this idea up a lot. In a way, I wish I could have temporarily removed all of my knowledge of the original Frankenstein and then watched this to get a clean view of it, because it's obviously not the story. It's like very, I would say, loosely adapted from the story. So I feel like I'm too biased maybe to judge it, because there's so much I love from the original story that I was disappointed to not see. But I do think it's true that it is kind of a misstep to have the monster just be a monster. Like, you got Christopher Lee. Like, you could have gotten anybody to play that monster, I think. But you got the GOAT, Christopher Lee, who I think could have delivered such a nuanced and amazing performance.
I believe there are 2 more Frankenstein films from Hammer with Christopher
Really?
Lee as the monster.
Oh.
Don't quote me on that, but we might want to check those out and see if they do a little more. This was the first one. See
Mm.
if they do a little more with him later on. But I agree with him. His face is so kind of reminds me of Frank Langella. Do you know that actor? No,
Mm-mm.
okay. I had a huge crush on him when I was a kid. Um, sort of, this round face with these beautiful dark eyes, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you. He was completely underutilized, and just, I mean, he had no humanity at all. He's just kind of almost like a machine.
Yeah.
Well, here's some trivia. As it is not uncommon with films in this genre, critics hated this movie. However, the public loved it and came in droves, making it one of the highest grossing British films up to this time.
Wow.
For the scene in the woods when the creature is shot, Christopher Lee said years later that he yelled in pain for real. He put this down to the fake blood entering his eye during the take.
Oh no.
Hmm.
Poor guy.
Although they both appeared in Hamlet, 1948, Moulin Rouge, 1952, and Alexander the Great, 1956, Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing met on the set of the film for the first time. They would pass the time between shots by exchanging Looney Tunes phrases and quickly developed a fast friendship which lasted until Cushing's death in 1994.
Oh.
In 3 consecutive movies, Christopher Lee strangles Peter Cushing nearly dead. Lee said in an interview that Cushing would suck berry drops before these scenes to make his tongue look more red.
I did love that when he choked him and he stuck his tongue out. That was so good.
Really good stuff. Well, briefly, what does Letterboxd have to say about it? There weren't a whole lot of reviews, I have to say.
Wow.
Maybe not surprising. But Dante Nave gave it 1 star. Not a moment of tension, not a moment of tension, not a frame of fear, not an ounce of interest. Who doesn't love watching Peter Cushing? But God, at what cost? V gave it 1 star. You're all liars. This is so boring. Tyree Hoffman gave it 1 star. I'm not trying to discount Hammer's contributions to the horror genre, but for every solid, entertaining Hammer horror film, there are a 5 that are boring and feel like a chore to sit through. Clearly, I've done my chores for today.
Ooh.
Jenny Corvid gave it 5 stars. I love when Victor is just unambiguously a bastard.
Jenny, I have to disagree with you.
Joel Hicks gave it 5 stars. Peter Cushing is one nasty bugger in it. And DJ Trash Panda gave it 5 stars. I'm not saying I wanted to drink the colorful stuff in the beakers, but it did look refreshing.
Yeah, you can definitely tell they were like, add the red to this, some green to this. And they were always drinking some sort of like red liquid or like
Yes.
had a green glass. And I will say, to me, highlight of the movie, besides Cushing and his beautiful blue eyes, were the dresses that Elizabeth wore, like especially at the end with that big blue bow. Oh, it was so pretty.
Yes. Yeah, they
And her
really
red
made
hair.
great use of the color in this film.
Mhm.
Well, how would we rate it?
Genius's brains.
Okay.
You go first.
3.
2.75.
Okay. Too long, eh?
It's like I think I stand by that. Also, I wish it didn't focus so much on the creation of the monster. Like, to me, that's such a basic part of the story, and it really takes up the meat of so much of the plot. And it's like, again, almost antithetical to the point of it, which is that he's immediately afterwards like, well, why did I even do this? What have I done? And I feel like we actually never even got that from Victor, even though it's kind of referenced by Bernstein, where he's like, oh, scientists, they're always so bored of our inventions. But like Peter Cushing at no point is like, and why did I even do this? Like the whole time he's like, this was the right thing to do. And I just don't even feel like that's why even then mention the point about, you know, the success feeling fleeting if that's not even what the character feels at any point.
Yeah. I'm with you. What have we learned?
You know, I think Krempe should have just gone with his gut and called that shit in. Like, you know, when people show you who they are, believe them. And the fact that he was like, well, we killed the monster, and I do not think Victor will be doing anything like this ever again. He will.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a dumb move, Paul. I would say to women in the 1860s, make sure you have your own thing going on.
If you can, I guess.
I know. It's like going against all of history and all of what society was at that time. But wouldn't it have been nice if Elizabeth had been spared all of that stuff?
Yeah. I hope she, at least since she was married to him, got his fortune in the end. Like, then I guess it'd be kind of worth it.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was like, Paul is such an opportunist.
I know. He's like, hey, Elizabeth, look, who, you know, and who's been there for you this whole time?
Would we watch it again? I would.
I don't think so. Oh, I respect your choice.
Did you have a favorite scene or kill?
I mean, I love that scene where Christopher Lee's choking him. And there's just one scene where like Peter Cushing's looking up into the camera, and I just was like hypnotized by him. I think he is so captivating. I think this movie would be so different without him as the leading man. So I'll give it that. He was, I think, just a really captivating main character. So any scene with him, which is the whole movie. What about you?
I like the scene with the maid when she's going into the lab, and then she goes into the secret door where the monster is. It's kind of scary.
Your heart's like, ooh. Yeah, I wouldn't say there was zero tension. Like anytime the women were about to discover it, I was feeling tense.
Yeah, me too. And I thought the music worked well with that as well. The music wasn't subtle or anything, but
no, it was like, ah!
Who wins the You Fool Award? Well,
I mean, I guess Victor. Yeah. Like, you've been such a dick to these people, and then you're like, Paul, remember, we're such good friends. Bro. You should have gotten his brain when you had the chance.
I would love to read a biography of Peter Cushing. I wonder if he liked playing bad guys. Usually actors say they do.
Yeah, and they're always like the nicest people in real life.
Yeah. That definitely seems to be the case with Cushing.
He seemed like a sweetie.
Yeah. Anyway, I enjoyed it. That was The Curse of Frankenstein.
All right. Now for Frankenstein. Here is the short plot summary from IMDb. Dr. Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but egotistical scientist, brings a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and his tragic creation. It was directed by Guillermo del Toro, with screenplay by Guillermo del Toro, based on Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. It stars Oscar Isaac, Jacob, is it Elordi? Jacob Elordi, Mia Goth, and Christoph Waltz, with cinematography by Dan Lausen, edited by Evan Schiff, with music by Alexandra Desplat. It was released August 30th, 2025 in Venice, October 17th, 2025 in the US, November 7th, 2025 on Netflix, with a runtime of 150 minutes. And rare for me, I will say, that is a good runtime, I think, for this film.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I was ever bored, which is a huge testament for a long-ass movie. If you
Yes.
never bore me, you have done something right, I think. Well, here is the prelude. In 1857, Horizont, a Royal Danish Navy ship sailing for the North Pole, becomes trapped in ice. Alerted to an explosion in the distance, Captain Anderson and his men discover a gravely injured Victor Frankenstein. Upon bringing him aboard, the crew are attacked by a creature who demands Victor's surrender. Anderson uses a blunderbuss to sink the creature into the icy water. Victor explains that he created the creature and gets into his tale. This is pretty faithful. Something that I liked from the original that I kind of wish was a part of this one was the introduction of the original Frankenstein is a younger scientist who is sailing across the North Pole to go to a distant land to further his scientific knowledge and hopefully, make his own waves in the world of science. And when he finds Victor, he feels as though he has found like a kindred spirit, and he describes him as like my first ever possible true friend, and he's writing all these letters to his sister back home. And he's like, well, this is also like a possibly dangerous voyage. I might not make it back. I found this guy. He's amazing. He's clearly so smart. And Victor is like close to death and is like, well, let me tell you my story. I can see you're similar to me. And they've got like a little bit of that with the captain, but I feel like it's more of an afterthought than. And I really want to say, I don't expect anybody to adapt this whole book in its entirety in a movie. That would be impossible. Some choices made me a bit sad, only because of my personal attachment to them. But this movie, I feel like you can tell Guillermo del Toro loves the hell out of this story. It's so clear with all of his stories that he loves monsters, and every like visual depiction, either I was like, wow, this is so Guillermo del Toro in the best way, or I thought, how did he get into my brain and exactly do this scene how I thought it looked? So I love that.
I wanted to talk about the color coding here. So it's white and blue is the color coding for this section of the film. And I love the coats that the men wear, because they're not like deep blue, navy blue peacoat color coats. It's a lighter blue, but they're all frosted with snow because it's so cold outside. And yeah, this is just, and the captain's quarters are amazing because there's this huge circular window in the middle of it, and there's like a window seat where you can sit right next to the window. And I don't know, that's a big part of this film for me, is all the set design and all the costume design and the color coding and all the kind of like fun little nuggets that he throws into the film.
Yeah, I would say like I can only imagine how much work went into all of this. Like, it looks so damn cold. Like, the guys' faces are so ruddy, and, even the extras always have, I feel like, great expressions, and it feels very like you're sent back to that time period, even though you also feel the like Guillermo del Toro twist on all of it. And I think that's amazing. He had so much fun, it seems.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And this was actually, they built this ship in the parking lot, like where they shot the film. Yeah. So it was actually like a ship, with masts and riggings and all this stuff.
Yeah. And I loved the like ragged coats that you see the creature wearing. And man, we'll get into the creature, but Jacob Elordi, you deserve award.
Definitely.
So we get part. You get Jacob Elordi. You need a Jacob Awardee. So here's part 1, Victor's Tale, and now I will be a stinker because clearly the point of this story is different from the point of the original, and that is okay. However, I guess it's good. He immediately is showing you, hey, this is different than the original, and that's great. What I loved about the original is that Victor had a good upbringing. Like, I found that interesting. He had a great relationship with his father, his little brother. You know, Elizabeth comes into his life as like a cousin, but like an adopted cousin. So at least there's no actual like family relation, even though they are kind of raised together. He loves his parents. And when his mother passes away, that feels like a great impetus for why he's so interested in death, because the death of her is written so beautifully that it like they're still a family and they're still together, but there's something forever missing. And it got me a little bit choked up when I first read it. Here's how it goes in the movie. Victor's father is a total dickhead asshole. Like, he says he wasn't in our lives. When he was there, he clearly hated me and my mom. And I mean, it is so beautiful. They're in this like fucking giant estate. The mom's always wearing red, and it looks so like what was that one movie? Crimson
Peak.
It's so Crimson Peak in the best way. She's wearing these long red, you know, there's all the stuff flowing. His dad, you know, looks so, you know, angry and old. He's teaching him about science, and when he fails like a question, he'll first slaps his hand, but then he's like, well, now your hands are your instruments. The face is vanity. So he slaps this child in the face with like a cane, or like a writing, you know, what is it? A switch. And, you know, this poor kid. Now we also have the introduction of the milk motif in every single scene. And I'm not kidding. In almost every single scene, we will see Victor drink a glass of milk. And it almost becomes just kind of funny later where you're like, and where's the milk? There's the milk. I was waiting for it. Like, and it's always brought on a little dish. But Victor's mother dies, giving birth to his younger brother, William. And that officially turns Victor emo. He's now going to be wearing black and red the entire movie, just so that you don't forget that he's not a good guy. His younger brother, William, is wearing this regal blue. He's, you know, he's lighter in hair and like, clearly the father's favorite. Like, the father's like, my boy, look what I got you. And he got him this like beautiful blue carriage, and you know, Victor's watching from behind a tree like, oh, you know, god damn you. And you know, he grieves his mother, resents his abusive father, and even accuses his father of purposefully letting his mom die, because he's like, my father, the great surgeon, the best scientist I know, and he couldn't save her, you know, he must have let her die. And he accuses him, and he tells him like, I'm going to become a better scientist than you ever were. Then his dad dies. I do love at both funerals. I don't know if there's a historical precedence or if this was all Guillermo del Toro. I'll lean towards the Guillermo del Toro. Like, when they're put in these coffins, you see like just their face in this like, you know, giant coffin, and then like a mask is kind of put over it. Oh, it was so cool.
Very cool. So of course there's red all around the head of the mother. And is it white around the head of the father? That would make the most sense.
Yeah, it's like white or black. It's definitely like one of those. And then like a silver looking thing, I think.
And I wanted to say that Victor wears black throughout the rest of the film, and red, and that red is a connection back to his mom.
Yeah, it's always this red, which I like that it, you know, she wore like the long flowy red things. He's always got this kind of loose red bow around him. And I mean, I love me some color, and so does Guillermo del Toro, and I love that. There's too many movies that are too bleak looking. I love, like, Guillermo del Toro. It's gonna be saturated, full of color, and I love that. Um, so then, the dad dies. Him and William become separated, and he goes off to become a brilliant surgeon, but becomes obsessed with curing death through science. We get this amazing scene where I want to know how they did this. It looked so cool, where he's in this, this like theater full of these old, surgeons and wigs and whatnot, showing them how he's already gone so far to like cure death. He's got this like head with an attached spinal column and like an arm. And when he turns on a battery, this thing first just starts moving like, and he's like, but hey, listen, I'm not just making it twitch. And he like makes it catch a ball in its hand. This was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it looked so amazing. And also Oscar Isaac, not only is the man fine, but I do think he's very compelling. But also, like, not to be shallow, but like, yeah, I almost have to give a star just for like, he's so beautiful. He's a beautiful man.
Yeah, he is.
And, Guillermo del Toro knew how to shoot this man too. Like, just his face, like his expressions, he was so good, even though I think in my heart, I still wish that he was a bit more ambiguous of a character and not such like a fucking dick. But then at the same time, I see that this is what was his vision. And I think for the vision, he did a great job playing it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Everybody in this royal college fucking hate this. They're like, this is a crime against God. All that is holy. Like, what is wrong with you? And he's, dismissed, and deemed sacrilegious. But then we see a Christoph Waltz in the audience who's very like ponderous and clearly thinks this guy's onto something. So then we meet arms merchant Heinrich Harlander, played by Mr. Christoph Waltz, who was very impressed, but he kind of like, is challenging him in a scholarly way, being like, he clearly wants to push Victor to do more. I think we can all guess that his ulterior motive is he wants to live forever, like why else would he be pushing this so hard? But we don't know exactly why yet. And he offers him unlimited funding and an isolated tower to continue his experiments under a single unnamed condition that is obviously he wants it to benefit him in some way. And then he reveals, oh, actually, also, your brother William, his niece, my niece is his fiance. And also they're on their way right now. And so then William and his beautiful fiance, Elizabeth, showed up, played by Ms. Mia Goth, who I can totally see the influence now from The Curse of Frankenstein because she's got this beautiful like orange hair and whatnot. She's at first seen wearing blue, but I do like that later the motif seems to be she's always wearing green. Yes. I thought that was great. And William, he looks exactly how I imagined him, honestly, like this beautiful curly blondish hair. He's bright, effervescent, and is like, oh, Victor, my brother, and they hug. But then soon you see the tensions arise again when they're eating at this like long dinner and Victor's got his milk, of course. And like people bring the milk out and it's like, how did they know to bring it out? I'm not even like, I love it. I actually love it. Like inexplicably a man will come out with a platter of milk and we all know that's for Victor. And Victor's clearly enthralled by Elizabeth, who's kind of giving him like the cold shoulder, which I think enthralls him even more. And so then they get to how were you feeling watching the movie so far? Was there anything that stood out to you?
I think I had heard a lot of really negative reviews of this film
Really?
So I had really low expectations, actually, even though I'm a huge Guillermo del Toro fan. I thought, oh, maybe he's just like, missed the boat on this one. But then actually, your uncle said that he saw a screening where Del Toro was in attendance.
Whoa.
Um, and he said that he loved it. Adrian said he loved it. So I thought, well, maybe it is, kind of good or whatever. I was blown away by the colors and by I thought that Oscar Isaac was overacting a little bit,
Yeah.
but it kind of makes sense. He is performing for all of these other scientists and students, and he's feeling himself, and so it kind of makes sense that he's like acting like that. But I just thought, why is he acting like so big? It's like
Hmm.
bigger than anybody else in the film. So that took me out of it a little bit. I honestly missed the milk thing. So I saw it on the trivia and I was like, oh, okay. But I completely missed it, like went over my head. But it kind of makes sense, like mother's milk,
Yeah.
I guess. But that's a little heavy handed. I mean, you've already got the red in the costuming. Do you really need the milk? So,
And I'll talk more about other stuff that I felt was a little bit too a la I felt like Guillermo del Toro thought I was a little bit stupid and I didn't appreciate it. And I, it's tough. I respect Guillermo del Toro so much, and I feel like that's doing a lot of heavy lifting for me already, where I'm like, I trust you, bud. Like, I don't love the direction you've gone in this. It's different than what I enjoyed about it. But then at the same time, I just appreciate that you're trying something. And like, I see what he was going for, and I respect that. I'm trying to divorce my own feelings from the source
mm-hmm.
material. Because again, I love it that Victor, like when he's making the creature in the original, he's alone. There's a lot of like, I think of the time stuff that wouldn't fit in a modern retelling, but there was a lot of like stuff about like Victor got really into this type of science that was clearly more conjecture, but really spoke to him. Even when he went to college, everybody was like, Bud, like you're so smart. Don't be going down this path. And he was clearly so influenced by the death of his mom and how it still made his family grieve so that he's inspired to try to conquer death, and then builds the creature in just a mad frenzy by himself. It's such a solitary endeavor. I find it interesting that in both of these retellings, it's not solitary in any way. I feel like that kind of gives something to the character. Like it gives him such a thing that he can't tell anybody that he's done. But in both of these, there's really active participants in it, which is just interesting. But
Mm-hmm.
then again, if you're going to make it different, do it with style. And he did, because this whole scene of them figuring out like how it's going to look, the spire that they have, that's so beautiful. And you're just
Yeah.
eating it up the whole time. Like the castle they chose is like so beautiful, so Crimson Peak again, but I love it. And yeah, like Harlander is giving him unlimited funding. And so with William's assistance, they're, building all this. At the same time, Victor is becoming very infatuated with William's fiance, Elizabeth. And so he almost becomes less into making the creature, like has all this time where he's like, William, like, actually, none of this is right. Like, change it all. And can you stay here? And then he'd go off and hang out with Elizabeth, who I wouldn't say was like leading him on, but it's like, girl, you definitely know this guy's into you. Like, she knows it from the jump. And I kind of struggle to at any point see what she sees in him. She's never like, she never gives him, I think, false hope, but I just was a little bit confused because at first she's so cold towards him, clearly so cold towards him. She's now, Elizabeth has been in a convent basically her whole life, and clearly very religious. Somebody so pious would not be into something like this. Like, that's such a theme of like, I think like, it's kind of goes against God's creation, I would say, to like put pieces of dead people together.
Yeah. But she doesn't get any intellectual stimulation from William. And
That's
so
true.
I think she's just taking advantage of, somebody who's brilliant because she doesn't have access to that in the other parts of her life. I mean, I guess
That's
she
true.
does with her uncle, but maybe that's not enough for her. And he's wrapped up with Victor right now anyway. So,
Yeah, that's true. And she's so into insects, which I thought was a really cute detail. I mean, she's definitely so much more fleshed out than she is in the book. Like she's very Mia Gothed, but I'm okay with that because I love me some Mia Goth, and I love all the green outfits that she's in, the, complementary color. She's so into like insects and believes that they have beautiful like God's symmetry, and I loved all of that. And I thought the scene was pretty cute where like Victor sees her going to a confessional, so he sneaks in to try to listen to what she would have to say. And so the whole time she's like, "Father, like I must confess, I'm feeling a strong emotion towards my brother's or my fiance's brother." And he's like, "Oh, what is lust?" She's like, "No, hatred." And the thing about him is like you can see him anywhere. Like you can easily spot him wherever he is. And then he like opens up the little view and they just kind of both smile at each other. I thought that was pretty cute. But so he kind of just keeps putting off finishing it until finally Harlander's like, "Listen, war's coming to an end soon. Like, speed it up, bud. Like, I'm not gonna, I know I said unlimited funding, but when there's no war, I don't got none. So can you please?" And I think we come to learn there was more ulterior motives to have him speed it up, but Victor's like, fuck, okay. And then at the same time, Elizabeth comes over and he finally confesses to her. And she's like, "Bud, like I've made my choice. Like,
yes.
no." And he's like, all the scenes of him like shirtless or like sitting in a bath, amazing. Like I just like, there's no reason for this guy to be so buff. Like, no way. But I'm cool with it. And then, he remembers something Elizabeth said about like symmetry and he's like, "That's it." And so he fashions body parts from criminals and soldiers killed in the ongoing Crimean War into a body to reanimate. There's like a great scene where there's like these guys at like a hanging and he's looking at them before they're about to be killed. And he like one guy's breath, he's like, "You should be glad you're getting killed. You would have been dead within the year anyway." And then another guy is like, "Oh, he's got a strong back. I'll take him." It's so morbid. I love it.
Yeah, that was really grim. I loved it too.
And because everybody's cheering for like the execution and they're like, "Cool, blimey, we got another one." Like I love stuff like that. So there's a storm coming, which is important to getting enough energy to reanimate. And there's all these really cool scenes of like Harlander taking photos. Like I loved all like the sketches, like the scientific sketches that he did. Like we said, the set and everything is just beautiful. It really reminded me, the music was kind of whimsical and it reminded me of like Jack experimenting to figure out Christmas. It has that kind of fun vibe, even though it's so grim, and that's amazing. So, Harlander at one point is behind this like dressing screen and he's like, my cane. And Victor takes a peek, sees he's balding, and is like, "You got syphilis, bro?" And so then Harlander explains like all, at this time they had no real treatment for this and it was a pretty horrible way to die. And I loved the phrase like, "One night with Venus, a lifetime of Mercury," because he's taking Mercury. And so he unveils his single condition. He wants his brain transplanted into the body of the creature. And this has got to be one of the best scenes. Oscar Isaac's face when he's just like, "No." It was so good. He's like, No, of course not. Like, what? Like, you're stupid. And Harlander is still like, but all you have to do is say yes. Like, please always helps. Like a callback to an earlier scene. And Victor's just like, everything in you's polluted, your brain, your blood, everything. I'm not putting you, like, we'll talk about this later, because he's trying to put these silver, conductors up on top of the spire because there's a giant storm. And so, they start wrestling with one of the conductors, and there's this giant like storm funnel that you just know he's about to fall down. And, they're struggling. Harlander begins to slip and then falls to his death, and like the crash of his head. Oh, it's so nasty. And then lightning strikes the conductors and the creature as planned, but it fails to reanimate. Oh no. So the next morning, and Victor just walks to his like bed, which is like kind of in the laboratory, of course, red, 4 posters, and just kind of like falls back into the bed. But when he wakes up, he finds the creature alive, and it's just kind of standing there looking at him. Now, okay, I'm of a few thoughts here. It looks amazing. The stitching, the choice of Jacob Elordi, great choice. He's so tall, which I think, and he's adding so much to like his awkwardness. It is like a baby deer who doesn't know how to walk yet. My one thing is like, he's so handsome. Maybe I'm warped in the head, but when I look at him, I'm like, it's not that much. Like he's blue. Yeah. And he's got all these stitches. I do feel like a very important part of the creature is that he's so fucking horrendous to gaze upon that nobody can bear to like look at him. And he attracts violence in a way because he's such a perversion of nature. And even later when we see the creature in some lightings, I'm like, this just looks like a guy to me. Like when he gets hair and he's wearing clothes, I'm like, in certain lightings, could anybody really even tell that this is a creature? And again, I think this is part of the vision, but I just thought it was an interesting choice.
Yeah, I saw some interviews with Guillermo del Toro, and he talked about that and how he wanted it to be something that was pure and natural and beautiful. And so it definitely was a very intentional choice to choose a very handsome actor to play the creature. And yeah, it didn't really bother me at all. Like we were talking about before we got on, I listened to this when I was in grad school, I think. So that's been quite a while now since I've heard it. And so I'm not as close to the source material as you are. So those kind of things didn't bother me at all. I just was fascinated by the makeup and like the sort of like 3D like appliances that they had like attached to his face, and I don't know, things like that.
And it was beautiful. It looked great. And from the get, I was just like captivated by Jacob's performance. I just like 10 out of 10. I have no notes for him. Like he just did such a great job. And like Victor, when he sees the creature, he actually seems pretty amazed at first, like very different from the book where he's immediately like, I fucked up. Oh no, I fucked up. I gotta run away. Like this Victor's like, oh fuck, like I did it, and is so excited. He's trying to teach it. He teaches it his name, Victor. And at first it's pretty sweet. Like he's showing him like, this is water. Like this is the sun. Doesn't it feel so good on your skin? And it's very, very wholesome. And then, he takes him to the basement and chains him up, and he's like, chill here for a little bit, bud. And we begin to see part of the problem. And I did really like this depiction of the cycle of abuse. I thought it was actually pretty subtly done. Like his abuse of the creature is not subtle, but the ways in which it completely reflects how his dad abused him, I thought was genius. And I then was like, okay, I get what the point of this more so is. and I respect that. He begins to imitate his father's cruel discipline and also becomes scared of how strong the creature clearly is. He's frustrated because he's trying to teach it more words, but it just keeps saying Victor. There's like a whole scene where he's like, can you say anything else? Victor, we got it. You can say Victor. Like, he totally blows up at the poor guy. And even starts using like a switch, much like his father did with him. So also still Herlander is dead. And we see Elizabeth, a really cute scene of her playing with these like green beetles and drawing them. I thought that was really cute. And her and William are like, but like, where's Harlander? Like, we haven't heard from him. And William also gets a letter from like the medical society. So they both go to visit and try to figure out, hey, where's Harlander? Which first, Victor's like, oh, like, you haven't seen him? That's crazy. He should be here soon, I guess. And goes upstairs. Elizabeth, they leave her alone. This is a very curious woman. Of course, she's going to go into the basement and find him because she hears the Victor, Victor. So she goes, she finds him. And I thought this was very classically Guillermo del Toro. You can tell she is like in love with this creature, like as soon as she lays eyes on it. Mm-hmm. I love that. I'm honestly a fan. I'm cool with it. Like, it makes sense for her character. She enjoys the pureness of nature, and she views him as like an utterly pure being, devoid of the typical things that make man unpure. Like he's taking leaves and putting them in this flowing stream, and it's very, very wholesome. And she goes up to him, and he's very gentle with her as she like takes her gloves off, and they kind of like have like a, the creation painting of like, yeah, like, or yeah, that too, like putting their fingers together and stuff. And, so, then she goes upstairs and asks Victor like, hey, are you like abusing this guy? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, is this a prisoner of yours? To which Victor explains like, no, like I did it. Like, I created life. That's my guy. And he goes and he, shows them. But again, he's like jerking the chains around. He's like, get up. And I now see how similar this is to like Curse of Frankenstein, when like we see Peter Cushing with Christopher Lee. He's like, get up, shut up, and I did love this too, that he's so egotistical that he is viewing, the creature not understanding more words as like the creature's fault, and not like, well, you made him, motherfucker. So like right. It's up to you. And so then he ends up lying to William and shows him Harlander's body and is like, hey, the creature killed him. Isn't that's dangerous, and so then he, sends the two of them away and plans to destroy the tower. Elizabeth is like, we need to turn around. Like, I just have a bad feeling he's going to kill him. And so, yeah, he gets like every bottle of like gasoline known to man and, pours gas everywhere, and then sets fire to the lab with the creature inside. He then hears the creature call him and tries to attempt to re-enter the tower, but it explodes and it like severs his leg in the process. And then William and, Elizabeth come back and just see the entire tower explode. And the creature escapes by like going down a drain and stuff. As back in real time, as Victor tells the story, the creature boards the ship, confronts the captain, and is like, well, now it's your turn to hear my side of the story. And I literally said out loud, part 2, the creature's tale, and then the title card came up. So we see now from the creature's point of view, he escapes the explosion. And, we see him in these like his beautiful countryside. It's mossy. It's overcast. He's eating berries. He's feeding berries to this elk. It's amazing. He, is trying to find shelter. So he finds this like, really dilapidated looking house. He's in the mill gears of this family's farm. This was exactly how I pictured it. Like
That
big ups.
this is the best. But
Yeah.
the deer or the elk creature is shot
Oh,
dead in front of him.
yes, is shot dead by two hunters who then see him. And at this point, he is like kind of like fully, he's got maybe like a cloak on, but he is kind of purely monster looking. And they're like, what is that thing? I don't know, shoot it. And so he gets shot at. I forgot to mention before, he does have regenerative powers. So, he still feels pain, but he's able to live from getting shot at a bunch. And so he takes refuge in this family's farm. So over the next year, he secretly helps the family. He's also a Disney princess, as there's always mice, on top of him.
Yes.
He's so gentle, he's pure. So animals are attracted to him. And he's watching this family through this little hole in the wall. And, there's like a woman, her child, a man, and like the blind father. And also the two guys, I don't know what relation they have to them, but the two guys who shot at him are also there. And so he secretly helps the family over the next year. Like he realizes like, oh, they need firewood. So when they come out one day, he's bundled up all this firewood for them, and they deem it the works of the spirit of the forest. And so he begins doing all these other things like building a fence for their sheep and stuff. This is probably my favorite part in the book. It's so beautiful. Like in the book, I think it's pretty faithful, which I was happy about. Like, he's watching, he's learning language from these people. And a detail that I kind of wish had been in it was he gets this concept of like, these people, this family, they're so close and they love each other, but they're struggling. They're so poor. And there's all these other details that do not have to be in the movie, but, they used to be this prominent family in France, and then they helped out this guy and they got kicked out, whatever. Honestly, who cares? But he really falls in love with this family and like yearns to have a connection to somebody else like they do with each other. And, because he has been taking food from their supply. And so when he realizes that, he's like, oh shit, like I have to help them. And so he tries to help them and alleviate their burden. And he begins to come up with a plan of like, if I can present myself to the blind father, because he can't see me, maybe we can, forge a relationship and he can help me bridge the gap and I can also be a part of the family, which when you're reading, you're like, no, you just know it's not going to work out. But that it's great. So the family leaves for the mountains to hunt wolves. And so the creature does befriend the blind patriarch, who is like, listen, I stayed last year, classic old man, like this is my home, I'm not leaving. So when the patriarch is alone, he, comes to him and presents himself. And at first the guy's just like, oh, traveler, like, who's that? If you could just present yourself. And he's just so gentle and sweet, he's like, friend, like, I'm your friend. And immediately the blind man is like, you're the spirit of the forest. Okay, yeah, you're my friend. Like, yes, you're welcome to stay here. And so he teaches him to read and to speak fluently, shows him the Bible, shows him it's a beautiful sequence where they're walking through the forest together, and the creature's talking about how he read the first book of like Adam and Eve, and he read Paradise Lost, and read about questions that people had for God and that God had for people, and it's a really beautiful sequence. And he learns to read and speak fluently, and the blind man encourages him because he's saying like, I don't know who I am or what I am. He's really got no memories of his birth, but we come to get an idea that possibly all the pieces that he's made of, he's having dreams about. Like he says he has dreams about sand beneath his feet, or, all these other details that are not connected, that are clearly from the lives of the men that he's built from. But he's got no identity for himself. He's kind of in the most existential hell like ever, because he's got no idea who he is and no compatriots. I thought all of this was done so well. And so, the blind man reveals like, well, I'm paying penance for the fact that I killed a man, years ago. And, I'm trying to find like forgiveness. You need to, look inside yourself and go towards what speaks to you. And so he remembers the name Victor, and he's like, go to Victor, wherever that is. So he finds his way back to the ruins of the laboratory. It's beautiful. It's winter. There's snow all over the ruins. It looks beautiful. Again, it's like he took it right out of my brain. I was really amazed at how much it felt faithful to what I've felt like when I read the book. And he learns the truth of his creation. He like finds all the papers, finds photos that Harlander had taken, and he realizes the horrible truth that he is not even like human, really. He's a creation and also spurned by his creator, which is horrible for him. So now he's returning back and finds that the blind man has been attacked by wolves. I do feel like these CGI wolves, I didn't love the way that they looked. Like there just were a few scenes of him fighting these wolves, and I was like, ugh, this like some CGI, like the mice looked so good. And then I just thought and it's so violent. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like he fucking skins a wolf with his bare hands. It's crazy.
Yeah. He breaks the back of another one. And what in the making of, they used actual wolves, like, Dang. And then they rendered on top of those wolves.
Oh, wow.
So, but they would have a wolf come in and like attack some stuntman's leg or whatever. And then they would like, I don't know, draw that. I don't know how they do it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So they used, I guess to get the movement right. But I was with you too. I was just like, I get it. And this is where we're at right now in terms of CGI and in terms of not using real animals in films anymore. But we're not where it would be nice if we were in terms of realism.
Because there's so many other parts, like when I forgot to mention, like when he's building the creature, it's all, practical effects, and it looks gnarly in the best way. Like when he's doing all the sinew and stuff, and like all of that looks so good. And like the blood on the ground and whatnot, and the landscapes look beautiful. That I think that's what makes it so jarring when you see the CGI, because you've been so blessed with such beautiful visuals all the other time. Yeah. But he, fights off the wolves to comfort his dying friend. But of course, that's exactly when the family returns, and they believe that the creatures killed the blind man, so they shoot him. And
this is where they shoot him in the eye, right?
Yeah, they shoot him right in the eye. Oh, and I forgot to mention, there's all these details of like, much like, when light hits a cat's eye and they get kind of like lasery, he has one eye that does that. Oh, it looks so good.
Perfect.
Amazing. So good. And this whole time, Jacob has been doing, like I said, just like the best performance. Perfect casting, so amazing. He is laying, quote unquote, dead in the snow, but then realizes he cannot die and will spend eternity alone, which is horrible. Like, truly, this poor guy's in hell. So he decides to confront Victor during William and Elizabeth's wedding. There's like a scene where, the wedding's about to start. Victor goes to see Elizabeth. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's like a bad luck to look at the bride." And she's like, "Yeah, that's for the groom, not for you." And just is so full of like contempt and hatred for him. It's so good. And
can we talk about her wedding dress for a second?
Oh my God. It's like mummy-esque, she's got all these like really like his mom, but white.
Yes. Yeah. This, like these ribbons that are going down her arm that are wrapping up each of her arms. And one thing I didn't understand, didn't realize, is that apparently at this time in history at a wedding, all the women guests would arrive as brides themselves.
Weird.
Did you see that?
I didn't really notice that. They were all wearing like wedding dresses?
Yeah.
Oh.
And veils and everything.
Oh yeah, I did notice the veils. Yeah. It looked so crazy in the best way. Like the wrapped bandages and stuff. Like, I mean, it almost is so foreboding of like what is about to happen to her. Like she kind of looks like a mummy wrapped up or like a body wrapped up. Or
Yes.
like the creature.
Like the creature, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love that. So Victor senses a presence and tells the creature to come out. So the creature comes out and tells him that he demands the creation of a companion. And I just wanted, if it's okay, I just wanted to read. It was pretty faithful, but I wonder. Well, okay, no, actually, sorry, cut that. I'll get to that later. So the creature is like, listen, I've got nothing and nobody. Like, I cannot relate to anybody. You have to build me. Like, Adam had Eve. Where's my Eve? You know? And Victor's like, again, like, much like how he was with Harlander, he's like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. And I think that's a good call, you know? Like, I feel bad for the creature, but like, no, you shouldn't do it again. Obviously, the creature's like, fuck, you know, and attacks him. Hearing the commotion, Elizabeth rushes in and is so like, yes, my guy, he's back, and embraces the creature. And so fucking stupidly, he already knows. It's just kind of, it's like, I know it's the heat of the moment, but Victor does already know he has regenerative powers, but he's like, fuck, I'll try to shoot him when Elizabeth's right there. Goes to shoot him. Elizabeth takes the bullet, and then William is also wounded when he attempts to rush the creature, who like pushes him and he cracks his head. And the creature then carries Elizabeth out in front of everybody, who just kind of like part the ways for him. Yeah. This to me, I'm so sorry, Guillermo del Toro. I had to take off either a half or a full star for this line alone. Victor rushes to William and he's like, William, like, I can save you, you know? And William's like, don't bother, Victor. I've always been afraid of you. You are a monster.
You are
Guys,
the monster.
You are the monster. He literally said humans are the real monsters. Like, with his mouth said humans are the real. And I said, fuck off out loud, because this has been, like you said, one of the most unsubtle performances Oscar Isaac maybe's ever done in his life. Like, we know he's a bastard. He's worn emo clothes the whole time. Nobody likes this guy. It's understood that he is the monster.
I know. I really wish William had just said monster, because then it could be ambiguous. Like, he's been attacked by the creature, but his brother is right in front of him, and then he dies. So you don't really know.
That's genius.
That would have been so much better.
And let the audience decide, who is he talking about? And we'd all already say, oh, he's talking about Victor, you know?
Right.
We're not dumb. So I just wish that hadn't been in there, because he's done such a good job already with all the visual stuff that it's almost like he's like cheapening his own work in a way by having it just said out loud. Humans are the real monsters. Like, you know, it doesn't need to be there. So then the creature, he takes Elizabeth to this cave and like lays her down on this beautiful sloped rock. And, you know, he comforts her as she dies, and she gives this monologue. I was like, this is so Guillermo del Toro right here, where she's like, you're so to be able to see you before I die, to know that your eyes are gazing upon me, I can die happy. Like, oh my God. I love it. I was like, I'm back in. You lost me for a sec. I'm back in. So then Victor pursues the creature. And this I thought was such a great part in the book too. So I loved this. Like the creature is basically like, buddy, you're out of your league. Listen, fuck you. Fuck you for making me. I'm about to torture you. Like, you can't beat me. You can try. And if you try, all the better for me because I'll be fucking dead. But, good luck. And then he breaks his nose. And then thus begins their, you can't even call it cat and mouse. Like, they're in the Arctic and, Victor's pursuing him. We got this great scene where he's clearly seen some shit. He buys this like TNT and whatnot. And, the monster, there's a great scene where like he's out in the middle of this frozen tundra with all his sled dogs. And then he sees the creature on the horizon, goes to get his stuff. The creature disappears, comes back, drags him out of the tent. And he's like, oh, is this your big weapon, this dynamite? Go ahead, light it. He lights it himself, holds it, and he's like, now you run. And like Victor runs, he blows up, he's fine. And then we cut to current day where, he chases him to the ship and, goes on to the ship after he's told his story. So now a remorseful Victor and the creature reconcile and are now addressing each other as father and son. And Victor asks him for his forgiveness. And we get this great monologue from the creature who's like, yes, I forgive you. Like, unfortunately, life's not going to be great for me. I'm going to have to live. And Victor's like, well, if that's all you have, then, what else can you do but live? And, he kisses Victor on the forehead and says, I forgive you, Father. Victor passes away and everybody parts to let the creature walk through. Like the captain's like, let him go. And I did love this, like when he's parting, like this crowd of soldiers or sailors, even the extras are looking at him with such like contempt. It's so good. Like just, a brief glimpse of the rest of the creature's life, forever to be an outcast of humanity. And he gets off the ship, does a kindness by breaking them free of the ice and pushing them. The captain's like, okay, guys, we can turn back. You're right. This is too dangerous. So they're all going to go home. And we see the creature walk towards the beautiful horizon. And we get this beautiful close up of his face as he just kind of like looks up, Then it ends.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Now, it's like, it's tough. I do like it. There's just some, and I found a monologue that kind of, I think, displays all that I really felt, or like what really spoke to me, because I don't know. It just, I don't know. Never mind. Again, cut that. I don't need to read that. It's just, I like what Guillermo did. I see his vision. I think I do need to watch it again with like a clearer mind to just let it like soak in,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
What did you think?
I think it's, like I said, I was expecting not to like it. And, or after my brother said that he liked it, I thought, oh, well, that might be, worth checking out. And, I really liked it. I was like, I was in it. And I'm kind of a sucker for set design and costume design. So, and I love looking at stuff like the color palette of the scenes or the characters or whatever. And Mia Goth's costuming is just really incredible. And I saw a little bit behind the scenes about how they created the fabrics and stuff for her, but they wanted things to look like cells, like plant cells. And they wanted to layer her dress. Like there was some of those photographs had kind of like a film over them. And then, I don't know. So they wanted to sort of mimic that with her dresses. So it wasn't just a flat, color. And It's just amazing how people make movies. All those little details are so incredible.
Yeah. I would love if they released like an art book or something of
Oh,
it because
yes.
it's just gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. There's this making of, I can't remember what it's called, but it's about 45 minutes and it's on Netflix.
I'll watch it. Well, here's some trivia. While living with the blind man, the creature reads Osmandius, a poem by Percy Bysshe Shelley, husband of Frankenstein author Mary Shelley. He is heard reading lines from the poem. As the film progresses, the creature begins to walk more upright like a man, while Victor becomes more stooped over like a beast. This reflects the theme of who is the real monster in the story. When the creature is shot in the face after being discovered with the blind man, the way the man reacts, holding his face with blood gushing between his fingers and gasping, is exactly how Christopher Lee portrays the famous moment when his version of the creature is shot in the face in Hammer's The Curse of Frankenstein. Yeah, he does like hold it and there's like blood gushing. It's like, looks so painful. Oscar Isaac was Guillermo del Toro's only choice for the role of Victor Frankenstein. Now that makes so much sense. You can tell he just loves this guy. For his role as the creature, Jacob Elordi studied Japanese Buto dance, a form that involves undignified poses and dark themes, and Mongolian throat singing to capture the creature's mannerisms. It paid off.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it did.
This adaptation adds a trait not present in previous adaptations, that the creature is indestructible. Accordingly, it greatly changes the ending of the novel in which the creature arrives too late to speak to Victor before he dies, and announces to the ship captain before departing the ship that he intends to destroy himself by fire. Yeah, it is so... when he, like, arrives... I love in the novel... which I don't mind that they changed, but in the novel, it's just a great ending where he comes and it's like the game is over and like thus his reason for living now is kind of over. Is like he kind of grew this like kinship with Victor through killing everybody in Victor's life and, you know, maiming him in various ways, which you can't even blame the guy for. Like Victor did bring it upon himself. Like, if I was, I guess, to make my own version, something that I found compelling in the book was that the creature I thought was human in the way that he erred. Like, he was petty. He did bad things. Like, he straight up kills William, who's like a younger, you know, character and is innocent. Like, just sees a creature and is like, ah, like creature. And he strangles him and then pins it on the family maid and gets her to, you know, she's hung and killed, and also kills Elizabeth, who is innocent, because he's basically like, hey, if you don't give me a wife, you don't get to have a wife either, and warns him. So he's like, listen, on your wedding day, I'll be there. And Victor still gets married, which is like, bro, he told you what he was going to do. And then he kills her. And I thought that that made him more human in a way, was he basically says like, hey, if people are going to come at me with violence, what am I supposed to do? Like, just take it and die? Like, and to him, life is precious because he wasn't alive before, much like with humans think our lives are precious. And so I found that compelling, but I do feel like the theme of like a pure, you know, being was done well. And I enjoy that Guillermo del Toro was like so creative and completely himself, I feel like, when he makes a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Well, what does Letterboxd have to say about it? Shantae gave it 5 stars. Big fan of movies whoring out Oscar Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
Louis Watched gave it 5 stars. A marvelous adaptation of a true classic. I loved the use of color and symbolism in this film so much. It was utterly striking, the world it built so vivid, and the script so heartbreakingly beautiful. It was also visually stunning. it seems insane to watch this before even reading the book, but I also kind of loved watching it knowing it was based on a classic, but not having read the original text. It's definitely on my to read for this year now. I just thought this was such a funny thing to say. Like, how I'm confused. Like, you loved watching it knowing, oh, this is based on, I'm not going to read that shit, but like, I love that it's based on something that I haven't read. That's a weird thing to say, but I'm very happy for Louis. Taylor Bradbury gave it 5 stars. I would trust Guillermo del Toro to direct the phone book. A moon emoji gave it half star. If I could give this negative 5 stars, I would, but Oscar Isaac is hot. Curia gave it a half star. First 20 minutes, get the fuck out. Mary Shelley is crying. I think that's a bit unfair.
I do too. I love the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I really do. I like the prelude. I like the beginning of the story. I think it's just so beautiful. And when we see the creature in the beginning, he is really scary. Like, we have no idea what's going on.
He's roaring.
Because we haven't heard from him yet. And so I love it.
Yeah. Nitty gave it a half star. Did we not read Mary Shelley's 1818 text? Because what did I just watch? I don't think you can say that. Like, clearly Guillermo del Toro read it. Like, he clearly did. And like, I think to act as though this was the single best thing she ever did with her life and that it was a wholly precious text to her is also disingenuous to like the actual origin of the story. It's like Lord Byron was like, let's make up stories. And the thought of a man creating a creature was so compelling to her that she like wrote it. But she did other things with her life. And she wrote this when she was like 18, 19, 20. It's like, I don't know. If I made something when I was 18 and people were like, and it is pure and you can't do anything to it, and she would be rolling in her grave. Like, I don't think so. Like, I would say this is so much more faithful and I don't know. Like, you know what he's going for. And I think he succeeded. I've now come around.
Wow. Just in time.
Yeah. Well, how would we rate it? How about in fluttery pieces of fabric?
Okay.
I give it 4.
Yeah, I was thinking 4.25. It's not perfect. Like, the Oscar Isaac performance is a little bit confusing to me. As much as I love him, and I'm sure he was directed to be exactly the way he is, I'm just a little bit confused by it because it just sort of took me out of the movie when I was very firmly in it. So, yeah, it's not perfect. I don't know how I feel about Mia Goth. Like, she's kind of always the same, no?
Yeah, I just thought this is Mia Goth.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't really disappear into the role.
Right.
Like, that's Mia Goth.
Okay.
Whereas like Jacob Elordi.
Yeah. Jacob who?
Jacob who? Creature Elordi. Like, he just 4 stars for him. 10-star performance, 100-star performance. I think this, I would have felt very differently had that not been so good.
Oh, yeah, it would be a totally different movie. I mean, he does so much. Like, first, he's got to do a lot with his face, but his body is he's so live, you know, like when he's in the forest. I don't know. I just remember thinking, oh, man, this is an athlete. I mean, this is a man who's really has control over his body. And that's not the right way to put it, but his movement is just so incredibly impressive.
Yeah, when he's like crawling and like kind of going after the leaf in the stream while he's got the chains on and he's on his hands and knees, it was beautiful.
And this is a really tall man. He's like 6'5".
Yeah, perfect choice. What have we learned? You know, maybe take a second. I think we all fall into the patterns that, we were raised with. But take a second, see the effect you're having on the world around you, and think, did this happen to me? And how did I feel when it happened to me? I think Victor should have done that with the creature. I think, hey, if it really felt like your dad didn't want you to be alive, how do you think he feels? Okay. I think we could all benefit from that. If you were bullied, or whatever, and then you maybe just like reflect a little bit. Self-reflection's good.
I also like the idea of living like all you really have is life. Like if you think about it, like you might have material possessions, but they don't mean shit. All you really have is your life. And if you've ever feared for your life, you know exactly what I mean. And so if all you have is your life, then all you can do is live. So do it. Don't waste time.
Yeah.
Do something worthwhile.
I often do the exercise of like, if I die tomorrow, what would I regret? And I think things will come to you if you think about that. And then if you actually do those things, it'll feel really good. Like one of mine last year was, I want to be buff. I was like, if I die before ever having any sort of muscle, I would regret that. And let me tell you, I'm not saying I'm like Mr. Big Muscles over here, but the little that I've gained, it felt really good. And I was like, okay, good call. Next thing, well, I want to become I did some goals for like CrossFit. My goals this year, 10 push-ups, 3 pull-ups, and an undetermined overhead squat amount. And I'm most excited about to do even a single pull-up, but they are like, one's not enough. You got to do more than that. But my whole life I've wanted to do like a pull-up because they feel impossible. So, well, really what I want is to be able to do a bar muscle up, but that's like some years down the line.
Those are really good goals. I think you're going to hit those this summer.
Really?
Yeah.
Aw. I said there's this really nice guy at the gym who used to be a coworker of mine. He's so buff. And I told him that and he was like, oh, you got that. You got that in like a few months. And
yeah,
it's nice to hear.
I used to be able to do pull-ups. I mean,
dang.
So
the
you'll
overhead
get there.
Strength. Or the upper body strength, I mean. Yeah. Would we watch it again?
Yes.
Yeah, I would. I should. Favorite scene and or kill?
Well, I like the whole section with the blind man. I guess just right when he meets the blind man and he's like, oh, okay, you're the spirit of the universe. I mean, the spirit of the forest. I understand. And when the old man says that he's the creature's friend and the creature puts his head on his chest. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I'll say, the whole mill scene and like all the mice walking on him and stuff. I loved all that. I was eating it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think Del Toro must have something with mice because I feel like there were a lot of mice in Pinocchio as well. But,
oh, we already know Victor's the fool.
All right. Yeah. No contest. Well, thank you, Mac, for having this conversation with me today about The Curse of Frankenstein and Frankenstein.
It was my pleasure.
And thank you, WoHos, for joining us and for all your support. It means the world of horror to us truly. We appreciate you downloading the show and telling all your friends all about us. Next time, we will be looking at fairy tale horror films with Hansel and Gretel from South Korea and The Ugly Stepsister from Norway. Remember, WoHos, we love you, and don't go into the basement.
Yay!